Naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jayamudhirayet Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata sevaya Bhagavatiruttama shloke Bhaktir bhavati naishtaki Krishnaya vasudevaya Devaki nandanaya cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for today's discussion of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. We are reading from Canto 8, Chapter 13, titled as Description of Future Manus, Future Manus, and verse number 21. Dashamo Brahma Savarni Upashloka Suto Manuhu Tatsuta Bhuri Senadya Havishmat Pramukha Dvijaha Dashamo Brahma Savarni Upashloka Suto Manuhu Tatsuta Bhuri Senadya Havishmat Pramukha Dvijaha Dashamo Brahma Savarni Upashloka Suto Manuhu Tatsuta Bhuri Senadya Havishmat Pramukha Dvijaha. Anyone would like to chant? Dashamaha, the 10th Manu, Brahma Savarnihi, Brahma Savarni, Upashloka Sutaha, born of Upashloka, Manuhu, will be Manu, Tatsutaha, his sons, Bhurishena, Adyaha, Bhurishena and others. Havishmat, Havishman, Pramukhaha, headed by Dvijaha, the 7 sages. The son, translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The son of Upashloka, known as Brahma Savarni, will be the 10th Manu. Bhurishena will be among his sons, and the Brahmanas headed by Havishman will be the 7 sages. There are no purports to almost all other verses in this chapter, so I'll read the translations and then a few verses from chapter 14 as well. So I'll continue to read the translations. Verse 22, Havishman, Sukruta, Satya, Jaya, Murti and others will be the 7 sages. The Suvasanas and Viruddhas will be among the demigods, and Shambhu will be the king Indra. 23. In the home of Vishwasrashta, a plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will appear from the womb of Vishuchi as the incarnation known as Visvakshena. He will make friends with Shambhu. Verse number 24. Anagata, sorry, I'll read the translations. In the 11th Manvantara, the Manu will be Dharma Savarni, who will be extremely learned in spiritual knowledge. From him there will come 10 sons headed by Satya Dharma. 25. The Vihangamas, Kamagamas, Nirvana Ruchis and others will be the demigods. The king of the demigods, Indra, will be Vaidhrita, and the 7 sages will be headed by Aruna. 26. The son of Aryaka, known as Dharmasetu, a partial incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will appear from the womb of Vaidhrita, the wife of Aryaka, and will rule the 3 worlds. Verse number 27. O king, the 12th Manu will be named Rudra Savarni, Devavan, Upadeva and Devashreshta will be among his sons. So that's the 12th Manu. In this Manvantara, which is the 12th Manvantara, the name of Indra will be Ritadhama and the demigods will be headed by Haritas. Among the sages will be Tapomurti, Tapasvi and Agnidhraka. 29. From the mother named Sundrata and the father named Satya Saha will come Swadhama, a partial incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He will rule that Manvantara. The 13th Manu will be named Devasavarni and he will be very advanced in spiritual knowledge. Among his sons will be Chitrasena and Vichitra. Text number 31. In the 13th Manvantara, the Sukarmas and Sutramas will be among the demigods. Divaspati will be the king of heaven and Nirmoka and Tattvadarsha will be among the 7 sages. 32. The son of Devahotra, known as Yogeshwara, will appear as a partial incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His mother's name will be Brihati. He will perform activities for the welfare of Divaspati. The name of the 14th Manu, which is the last, will be Indra Savarni. He will have sons like Uru, Gambhira and Buddha. 34. The Pavitras and Chakshusas will be among the demigods and Shuchi will be Indra, the king of heaven. Agni, Bahu, Shuchi, Shuddha, Magadha and others of great austerity will be the 7 sages, the Saptarishis. Verse number 35. O King Parikshit, in the 14th Manvantara, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will appear from the womb of Vitana, and his father's name will be Satrayana. This incarnation will be celebrated as Brihadbhanu, and he will administer spiritual activities. 36. O king, I have now described to you the 14 Manus appearing in the past, present and future. The total duration of time ruled by these Manus is 1000 yuga cycles. This is called a kalpa or 1 day of Lord Brahma. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of 8th canto, 13th chapter of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam entitled The Description of Future Manus. I'll read 4 verses from chapter 14 and we will discuss verse number 4 and a little bit of the Manus and the Manvantare Chanu Katha. Chapter 14 it is titled as The System of Universal Management. I'll read the chapter summary. This chapter describes the duties allotted to Manu by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the Manus, as well as their sons, the sages, the demigods, and the Indras, act under the orders of various incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the end of every Chatur Yuga, consisting Satya, Dvapara, Treta, and Kali, the sages under the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead distribute the Vedic knowledge and thus reinstate eternal religious principles. Manu's duty is to re-establish the system of religion. Manu's sons execute Manu's orders, and thus the entire universe is maintained by Manu and his descendants. The Indras are various rulers of the heavenly planets. Assisted by the demigods, they rule the three worlds. The Supreme Personality of Godhead also appears as incarnations in different yugas. He appears as Sanaka, Sanatana, Yagnavalkya, Dattatreya, and others, and thus he gives instructions in spiritual knowledge, prescribed duties, principles of mystic yoga, and so on. As Marichi and others, he creates progeny as the king. He punishes the miscreants, and in the form of time, he annihilates the creation. One may argue, if the all-powerful Supreme Personality of Godhead can do anything simply by his will, why has he arranged for so many personalities to manage? How and why he does this cannot be understood by those who are under the clutches of Maya. So, chapter 14, we will see the discussion between Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj continue. The first verse, Parikshit Maharaj inquired, "O most opulent Shukadeva Goswami, please explain to me how Manu and the others in each Manvantara are engaged in their respective duties and by whose order they are so engaged." Verse 2, Shukadeva Goswami said, "The Manus, the sons of Manu, the great sages, the Indras and all demigods, O king, are appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his various incarnations such as Yagna." Verse 3, "O king, I have already described to you various incarnations of the Lord such as Yagna, the Manus, and others are chosen by these incarnations, under whose direction they conduct the universal affairs." Prabhupada writes a single sentence purport for this. "The Manus execute the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his various incarnations." And we will read verse number 4 and discuss this. "Chaturyugante kalena grastan shrutiganan yatha tapasarashayo apashyan yato dharmas sanatanaha." At the end of every 4 yugas, the great saintly persons, upon seeing that the eternal occupational duties of mankind have been misused, they re-establish the principles of religion. Purport. In this verse, the words dharmaha and sanatana are very important. Sanatana means eternal and dharma means occupational duties. From Satya Yuga to Kali Yuga, the principles of religion and occupational duty gradually deteriorate. In Satya Yuga, the religious principles are observed in full without deviation. In Treta Yuga, however, these principles are somewhat neglected and only 3/4 of the religious duties continue. In the Dwapara Yuga, only half of the religious principles continue, and in the Kali, only 1/4 of the religious principles, which gradually disappear. At the end of Kali Yuga, the principles of religion or the occupational duties of humanity are almost lost. Indeed, in this Kali Yuga, we have passed through only 5,000 years, yet the decline of sanatana-dharma is very prominent. The duty of saintly persons, therefore, is to take up seriously the cause of sanatana-dharma and try to establish it for the benefit of the entire human society. The Krishna consciousness movement has been started according to this principle, as stated in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 12.351. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan astihi eko mahan gunah kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangah param vrajet. The entire Kali Yuga is full of faults. It is like an unlimited ocean of faults. But the Krishna consciousness movement is very authorized. Therefore, following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who 500 years ago inaugurated the movement of Sankirtana, Krishna Sankirtana, we are trying to introduce this movement according to the superior orders all over the world. Now, if the inaugurators of this movement strictly follow the regulative principles and spread this movement for the benefit of all human society, they will certainly usher in a new way of life by re-establishing Sanatana Dharma. The eternal occupational duties of humanity. The eternal occupational duty of a human being is to serve Krishna. Jivera swarupahaya Krishnera nitya dasa. This is the purport of sanatana-dharma. Sanatana means nitya or eternal, and Krishna dasa means servant of Krishna. The eternal occupational duty of the human being is to serve Krishna. This is the sum and substance of the Krishna consciousness movement. Om ajnanatimirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishna Vamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Shri Lalit Sahagana Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam dvaipayana viraha katara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya tarabobhinedu stham sarvabhuta hridayam munimanatosmi. So, we are studying from the glorious scripture called as Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. This literature, this scripture never stops to surprise us. Generally, people who are enveloped by Maya do not understand the deeper meaning of scriptures. It so happened that one Acharya was invited to speak on scriptures, on Shastra. Then this Acharya went, it was in Mumbai, and he started speaking Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Immediately the organizers said, Prabhuji, 1 minute, and they called him to the side. Please don't speak Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. He said, why? Because there is a general phobia in people's mind that after listening Bhagavatam, the snake will come and bite them and they will die. So can you imagine the people's phobia on the most glorious scripture in this universe, which is Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. But they thought that Parikshit Maharaj was bitten by a snake after listening Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and he died. So therefore let us not hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So this is the same concept when you try to distribute a Bhagavad Gita to someone, especially Indians. They say we don't want Bhagavad Gita. Because if Bhagavad Gita comes to our house, Pandavas and Kauravas were fighting. So we will also have fights inside the house. So please don't bring Bhagavad Gita into our house. So these are misconceptions that people have. Bhagavatam, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Shastram Kalau Kirena Kirtitam Kalau Vyala Mukagrasa Trasa Nirasta Nirnasha Hetave. Time is also called as an all-devouring snake. It is called Kala Sarpa. Time devours everyone. Time destroys everything in this existence. So it is akin to a snake, metaphorically. So, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Shastram Kalau Kirena Kirtitam. When this devouring snake, time, which comes in as a form of a snake and devours all living entities at their death, Bhagavatam comes and saves them. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Puranas and the Shastras glorify Śrīmad Bhāgavatam like that. That if the time, all-devouring time, devours the jivas, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam will come to their help. Kalau Vyala Mukagrasa. Grasa means food. That's where the word grass comes from, related to the cows. Mukagrasa. The mouth of a snake, Kalau Vyala Mukagrasa. It's coming to devour us, the eternal time through old age and disease. Trasa Nirasha Hetave. Nirasha Hetave. So this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam saves us from eternal damnation to hell, saves us from repeated birth and death, saves us from all-devouring death, which Krishna says, Kalosmi Lokakshayakrit. I am that time which devours everything. It also saved Parikshit Maharaj at that time when, who was there who had come to devour Parikshit? Takshaka. Takshaka was the snake which was supposed to bite Parikshit. So, one of my Bhakti Vriksha member was asking, what is the benefit of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Prabhuji? Ultimately, Parikshit Maharaj was bitten by a snake. So how did the Lord protect him from the snake bite? A devotee was not protected by a snake bite? I had this question. So then when I read the purports of the Acharyas, it is said that when Shukadeva Goswami completed Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, there was a yagna performed. And just when the Purnahuti of the yagna, so you know when everything is poured into the fire, that is completion of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Parikshit Maharaj had already gone into trance and exited from the body. Takshaka does not have the qualification to even touch Parikshit Maharaj. So what he bit was the body of Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj had already left that body because he had already gone into the Golok Dham. He was not resident in that body anymore. So what Takshaka bit was the body, not Parikshit Maharaj. So that is why we have to understand Śrīmad Bhāgavatam both scientifically and spiritually, because the problem of today's generation is we do not, like for example, there are 6 darshanas in the scriptural study. If you go and do deep detailed study of the Shastras, there is Nyaya philosophy, there is Tarka, which is logic. There are so many ways one studies the scriptures and one develops the intellect to be able to reason the scriptures properly. But problem with today's educational system is we are not open to this ancient wisdom. So we are taught in certain way and we cannot comprehend what the scriptures teach us, because our form of education cannot have that intellect by which we can rationalize what's written in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. It's difficult. So therefore the ancient tradition was studying through Nyaya, studying through Tarka, studying through scriptures and Adhyatma, spiritual, and all of that combined, they used to reason the scriptures. But now it's lost because it is dharmasya hi apavargasya nartho arthaya kalpate. So majority of the people, or 99.99% of the study today in education is only towards material upliftment. There is no adhyatma chintan, there is no spiritual study going on. Even if there is spiritual study, it is deductionist science. We deduce things. There is no holistic study. There is no complete awareness of existence. That is why Śrīmad Bhāgavatam has to be approached with a completely different mindset, not with a closed mind. In the beginning of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, where was Śrīmad Bhāgavatam? How does Bhāgavatam begin? When was Bhāgavatam spoken in Bhāgavatam? It's interesting because Bhāgavatam speaks about Bhāgavatam in itself. When does it begin? Huh? Sorry? Questions by sages. Where? Good, very good, Surabhi. Where? Yes, in the forest of Naimisharanya. Naimishe animisha kshetre rishaya shaunakadayah satram swargaya lokaya sahasra samam asata. Actually, in the concept of the Shastras, time is calculated. You know what's the smallest unit of time in science, in modern science? It's usually microseconds or milliseconds, Nowadays it's milliseconds. Otherwise it was seconds, seconds and then microseconds, like that. In the scriptures, they don't depend on devices. They depend on winking of an eye. So when you close your eyes, it is called nimisha. That is the smallest unit of time to the largest unit of time, which is 360 days of an year. In the scriptures, there are only 360 days, not 365. And then we have a Purushottam Mass every 3 years or 4 years. So nimisha means one whose eyes get closed. Devatas don't have eyes like us. They don't have eyelashes. You know that? They don't have eyelids. Devatas don't have eyelids. Their eyes, they don't wink their eyes. That is why gopis complained, Brahmaji, what creation have you done? We have to wink. Every time we wink, we lose the sight of Krishna. Every time we wink, we lose the sight of Krishna. That is because Devatas don't have eyes like us. They don't have winking eyes. Their eyes are always open. But their eyes also get closed at the end of the Kalpa of Brahma. Kalpa means 1 day of Brahma. So at the end of day of Brahma, even the Devatas have to close their eyes eventually. And we might wink. Wink means we close and open, but we also have to close our eyes permanently at one point in time. Our body has to close our eyes one point in time. Nimisha means one whose eyelids gets closed. Animisha means whose eyelids never close. That's why Prabhupada translates in that verse, Animisha means Vishnu, whose eyes never closed. So, now, this Naimisharanya, Naimishe animisha kshetre. Naimishe means one whose eyes gets closed. Animishe means one whose eyes doesn't get closed. So therefore, this is animisha kshetre. Means this is the place where people don't go into ignorance. Animisha kshetre. This is a place which is the permanent residence of Animisha, who is Narshingadeva, who is Vishnu, who eternally resides here. Therefore, in that kshetra, who was running a Gurukula? Shaunakadayah. Shaunaka Muni was running a Gurukula, and that Gurukula, it is said, he had at least 30 to 40,000 disciples, not 30, 40. 30 to 40,000 disciples. You can still see that town today. It's a town today. It's not an aranya. It's not a forest. It comes near in Uttar Pradesh, very close to a tributary of Ganga called Gomati. Gomati is a tributary to the Ganga river. It's a small river which flows near Uttar Pradesh. And you will see Naimisharanya as a town there, which is still even evident today. You can visit that place. Now, there are a lot of glories, and this place, if you go to this place called Naimisharanya, you have a lot of parikrama. You can do a lot of parikrama in that place, and you can visit so many tirthas also in Naimisharanya. And people have expressed, when you visit, I have not personally visited, but I have heard devotees, that you can feel the vibrations there when you visit this kshetra, because it has to have some significance where Bhagavatam was first revealed. Because, of course, Bhagavatam was written and compiled by Vyasadeva, and it was first whom was Bhagavatam taught to in the first place? Yeah, to his son Shukadeva Goswami. Yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam. Vyasadeva runs behind Shukadeva Goswami. Why are you running? You come back. I'll teach you Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. And then Shukadeva Goswami comes back and hears Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. But then this Bhāgavatam was supposed to be given to everyone. Of course, Shukadeva Goswami taught it to Parikshit Maharaj, but that disciplic succession in one sense started its existence or manifestation in Kali Yuga from Naimisharanya Kshetra. That's why Naimisharanya is very, very auspicious. And Shaunaka Muni, generally what they used to do, it is called, if you see the verse, it says, Satram Swargaya Lokaya Sahastra Shamam Asatah. Satra means sacrifice. Generally, the sages are not busy like us. For their day does not begin from waking up and then having, what is the time we'll have breakfast, what is the time we'll have lunch, when we'll go to sleep. They don't work like that. Their clock works differently. Their clock works off when what sadhana I should do. So morning times there are some sadhanas, afternoon times there are some sadhanas, evening times there are some sadhanas, night times there are some sadhanas. So there are some sadhanas on the whole day spread out. So when this yagna was performing, in the evening times they had a sadhana of studying katha, Hari Katha. And during the Hari Katha they used to invite a lot of speakers to speak about Hari Katha. And one day, who came to that Naimisharanya Kshetra? Suta Goswami came. Suta Goswami came. Suta Goswami is the son of Romaharshana Suta, who is another son of Vyasadeva, who was killed by Balarama, because of a mistake he did. So his son, Ugrashrava. Ugrashrava means his name. Imagine, Ugrashrava means what? What do you mean by Ugrashrava? Shravana means one who hears. Ugra means one who attentively hears. He had that capability. He can hear continuously. He is Ugrashravas. His name is also Suta, Romaharshana Suta, and his name is Suta Goswami. Suta's son is Suta. So he had come, and now he is doing Harikatha. That is where he transfers the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam to Shaunaka Rishi. So therefore, this Bhagavatam's tradition continues like that. And there is also another episode in Markandeya Purana where the rishis go and pray for Brahmaji. Please give us a place where we can do some sadhana, which is more powerful. Give us a location. And Brahmaji does not say, okay, go and do it in Melbourne or go and do it in Haridwar. He doesn't say like that. So because then he will say, then people might say, oh, you've been very partial to certain locations. So he said, okay, I have a Brahma Chakra, a wheel. I'll rotate, I'll push it from Himavat Parvata. Wherever the wheel rests, in that place you can do your yagna. So he rotates a wheel, and that wheel, a wheel, a chakra? Chakra's axis, axle is called as Nabhi. Nabhi and the periphery or Paridhi. Periphery comes from the word Paridhi. That Paridhi is called as Nemi, Nabhi and Nemi. And they both are joined with spokes called Ara. Now this wheel started rotating and rolling all the way from Himalayas. It crossed Haridwar and it came all the way to Naimisharanya. There the wheel just broke down and fell apart. So this Nemi, the rim of a wheel which became Visharana, which got destroyed and finally rested, Nemi Visharana iti Naimisharanya. That's how the word comes. Nemi means the rim, Naimisharanya. So there are so many expressions of how this place got manifested and where Śrīmad Bhāgavatam was spoken. That is why it is very important. Now in the last chapter, in the 13th chapter, coming back to the context, we have seen that Shukadeva Goswami has listed 14 Manus. Yesterday, Karunanidhi Prabhu was explaining how Bhagavatam is very, very methodical in explaining the manifestations of different Manus. Now a question came to my mind. If Manu is the ruler of mankind, this Manu word also is very interesting. Mankind, that man comes from the word Manu. In the Christian context, they call it as Adam. Adam is the word they use. That Adam also comes from Manu, because Adam is a connotation of the word Adi Manu. Adi Manu. Adi means first, Manu means mankind or the progenitor of man. So Adi Manu, Adam ho gaya. And then similarly in the Mohammedan tradition they call Adam. And that's how Admi comes, the word Admi in Hindi. You see, all this, the root words are Abhabramsha of Manu, the word Manu. So that is why here 14 Manus were listed. And right now, so he listed the past, future and the present Manu. Who is the present Manu? Who is ruling us at this point in time? Don't say it as Donald Trump. Manu is a superior being. He doesn't reside in Jambudvipa, in the Bharata Varsha. He resides in another Varsha called Ramyaka Varsha. There is another Varsha on the western side of Bharata Varsha, and that now Manu resides there. Who is our Manu? Vaivasvata Manu. He is the son of Vivaswan. Vivaswan Manu Ikshvave Abravit. Krishna says in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And Vaivasvata Manu's son is Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku established the Surya Vamsha, through whose Lord Rama comes, Surya Vamshi, Ikshvaku's dynasty. That is why he is also called as Ikshvaku, Ikshvakve. Ikshvakave Abravit, Manur Ikshvake Abravit. Krishna told this knowledge to Vivaswan, whose son was Vaivasvata. If you see the appearance of 14 Manus, this itself is amazing, because Bhagavatam also talks about cosmology. How many years, in the Vedic context, everybody lives 100 years. Shata Ayu, they say. Everybody lives for 100 years, you see. But that 100 years is not our calendar years, what you see on the calendar. The 100 years is based on how many breaths you take in that 100 years. That is why a dog also lives 100 years, an insect also lives 100 years, Brahmaji also lives 100 years, a human also lives 100 years. But that 100 years of a dog is completed within 14 or 15 years. That's why a dog breathes very fast. Any living entity which breathes very slow, the longer its lifespan is. That's why in yoga, the first thing they teach you is pranayama, the stretch your breaths. That's why in Dhruva Maharaj pastime, you will see Dhruva was able to stretch one breath for a month. He was inhaling and exhaling once in a month. You know, so this is the power of yoga, siddhis. So Brahmaji also has 100 years, okay? But that 100 years is divided into 360 days and 360 nights, because one year of Brahma is 360 days for our 360 days. So he has that many days, he has 36,000 kalpas. Kalpa, one day of Brahma is called as kalpa, okay? And every day of Brahma has different names. The first day of Brahma, when he was born on the lotus flower, is called Padma Kalpa. Similarly, we have so many kalpas. Right now, what is the kalpa we are living in? It is the 51st year of Brahmaji. It is Shvetavaraha Kalpa. So there are names for every kalpa. Kalpa is a day of a Brahma, okay? One day of a Brahma. What is the day we are now? Friday. But like that, there are names for Brahma's days also. But every day has a different name in his 100 years. So there is 36,000 days, 36,000 nights. So 72,000 kalpas is how long he lives. In that one day of Brahma, 36,000 kalpas, 1,000 Chaturyuga cycles happen. And then 14 Manus come and rule in that 1,000 kalpas. So 1,000 by 71, and that's how they are calculated. And then it comes to the 4 yugas, which is Satya, Treta, Dwapara and Kali. So like that, the calculation are done, and how this the days of Brahma and days of Manus are calculated, and how Manu rules these the mankind is discussed. It's very interesting. According to the Vedic science, if you calculate the age of the universe, according to modern science, you know what is the age of the universe according to modern science? Huh? How many billion? It's around 13 plus or minus, they say. Some say 25 million, some say 13 million. So it's about 15 billion years. If you calculate Vedically, you will see Brahmaji's lifespan, and from this universe, when he starts creating, it comes to around 13 billion years. It's very close calculation according to the Shastras. Now, coming to this verse, Prabhupada writes in this verse, Shukadeva Goswami is saying, at the end of 4 yugas, the great saintly persons, upon seeing the eternal occupational duties of mankind, have been misused. As time passes, as I said, time devours everything. Time also devours something very important. What is that? Our consciousness. Because the more we interact with matter, the more our consciousness gets degraded. So rishis time and again try to re-establish what is that? In this verse, Chatur yugante kalena grastan shruti gananyatha tapasa rishayo apashyan yato dharma sanatanaha. Prabhupada highlights in this verse the word dharma and sanatana are very important. So significance to dharma is given. Rishis try to re-establish dharma. Krishna categorically says that he comes to establish dharma. Is it not? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanihi bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam shrijamyaham. Krishna comes to establish the principles of dharma. In the Mahabharata, it is very interesting because it is very difficult to ascertain what is dharma and what is adharma. Krishna is clearly saying, I have come to establish dharma here. When asked, Duryodhana, Why are you like this? There are two characters in Mahabharata, Duryodhana and Arjuna, and both had defects. Not that both were perfect, both had defects. But Arjuna's statement, interestingly, I'll read this. Duryodhana's statement, he says, Janami dharmam nacha me pravrittir, janami adharmam nacha me nivrittihi. Janami dharmam, Duryodhana is saying, I know what is dharma, Krishna, nacha me pravrittihi, but I cannot follow it. Nacha me pravritti, I cannot follow what is dharma. And janami adharmam, I know what is adharma, nacha me nivrittihi, I cannot leave it. I can only follow adharma. That is my nature. What can I do? This is the philosophy of Duryodhana. Such a bewildering demon he was. But Arjuna also had certain defects. But what did he do? He took Krishna as his Acharya. He took Krishna as his Guru. So therefore, understanding dharma is very difficult. But as long as one takes to the path of bhakti, then the principles of dharma can be understood. Because Krishna's purpose was to establish dharma. Now one may ask, what is this dharma, Prabhuji? What is dharma? Is dharma means the purusharthas? What are the four purusharthas we have? The four human ends? Dharma, artha and kama and moksha. There are four human ends. Of course, we also speak about the fifth human end, which is bhakti. That is only to compare that yes, there are better human ends, but dharma also is imperative because Krishna is saying, I have come to establish dharma. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati. But the understanding we have to know is what dharma is that Krishna is trying to establish. What is that dharma that he came to establish? It's very difficult to understand. Yudhishthira in the Mahabharata says, Tarko apratishta shrutayo vibhinna nasa vrishir yasya matau na bhinnam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhaya mahajano yena gatassa panthaha. Yudhishthira says, many people might argue what is dharma, what is adharma, but it is very difficult to ascertain. How do we know this? How do we know dharma is very difficult to know? One may say, follow whatever is written in Manusmriti, because Manu gives us a book called Manusmriti. Just follow what is given in Manusmriti, everything is there in it. But it is very difficult. What is a stark example to say that dharma is very difficult to follow, according to scriptures? Can someone quote an example? Yes? Correct. Yes. Yes. Correct. Yeah. He was gambling and he bet his own wife in the gambling match. He lost to adharma there. But is there another example? Krishna tells Yudhishthira Maharaj to lie. Ashwathama hataha. Go and say Ashwathama died to Dronacharya. Yudhishthira thinks, what? Krishna is asking me to lie? Dronacharya, how can I go and lie to my guru? Ashwathama is not dead. So he goes and says, Ashwathama hataha, and slowly he says, Kunjaraha. Because the elephant Ashwathama died, so he says the elephant died. So he is in difficulty even when instructed by Krishna. Krishna is saying, just go and say, Ashwathama hataha. He does not follow Krishna's instructions. Even Yudhishthira Maharaj is bewildered. What is dharma? What is not dharma? Despite hearing it from the Supreme Lord directly. Is it not? So therefore, and he is Dharmaraj himself, personification of dharma. It is so difficult for him to follow dharma. What to talk of mundane mortal like us? So therefore, Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying, dharmasya tattvam, the tattva, the truths of dharma, nihitam. Where does it stay? It stays nihitam guhayam. In the Mahajana yena gatassa panthaha. The Mahajans carry dharma in their hearts secretively. So certain dharma you can know by studying scriptures, but certain dharma you cannot ascertain what is right, what is wrong. For that, you have to follow the achara of the acharyas. How do they practice it? You follow by looking at them. Otherwise, what is happening? We will do whatever our mind says and we will get convinced that that is dharma. But that may not be dharma, because I might have misunderstood the scripture. Just as Yudhishthira misunderstood the direct instruction of Krishna. Can you believe? Krishna is instructing him and he misunderstood. Bhima said, I can go and say. Bhima said, you want me to say, Krishna, what do you want me to say? You say Ashwatthama. Yeah, I'm happy to say. No, Yudhishthira Maharaj said, no. Krishna said, no, you don't go. Because if you go, Dronacharya will suspect because this guy can lie. Bhima can sometimes lie, he will think. But if Yudhishthira Maharaj says, Yudhishthira can never lie. So Krishna says, you should go and say. And Yudhishthira says, yeah, actually it is true. I never lie. But Krishna is asking me to lie. So how do I, he's in duvidha now. He's in ironical situation. It's a very challenging situation for Yudhishthira. It is, of course, a question of his pride. He never lies. So Krishna is asking him to lie. So it was Krishna's technique to break the pride of Yudhishthira and at the same time teach him a lesson, dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Whatever Krishna does is dharma. Whatever Krishna doesn't ask us to do, that is adharma. As simple as that. It's very difficult to ascertain all these things. That is why Yudhishthira Maharaj also got confused. And in fact, in this verse, Prabhupada translates dharma as occupational duties. And I was thinking, why does Prabhupada translate it as an occupational duty? What is an occupational duty in a literal sense? It means our work. You go and work out. So when I was reading the beginning of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, second chapter delineates dharma very nicely. In the second chapter, Shukadeva Goswami says, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Savai pumsam paro dharmo. What is the paramadharma of a pumsah? Pumsah means a jiva. What is the ultimate dharma of anything? Because dharma can be so many things. Pitra dharma, matra dharma, mano dharma, rajya dharma. So many dharmas are there. So what dharma should I execute? As a jiva, I am a brahmana, I am a kshatriya, I am a shudra, I am a vaishya. What is the dharma I should execute? I am a father, I am a mother. I will have so many dharmas to execute. What is the dharma I should execute? Bhagavatam says, yes, all of that are right, but paro dharma, there is a superior dharma to all these dharmas. Savai pumsam paro dharmoho. What is that? What is that? Yes, savai pumsam paro dharmo. Yato bhaktir adhokshaje. Adhokshaje means one who is not coming into the grasp of aksha. Aksha means senses. Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja means one who is beyond the grasp of senses. One should do bhakti to him. Adhokshaje. Then how should this bhakti to be done? Ahaituki apratihata. Without any expectation of results, material gains and causeless. Ahaituki apratihata. Only such bhakti yayatma suprasidati. This can only satisfy the jiva. Otherwise, no other dharma can satisfy the jiva. But does that mean you abandon your dharma, other dharmas? No. You do the dharma, your dharma, while doing your paro dharma. Always keep the parama dharma in place while you are keeping the lower dharmas, while you are applying the lower dharmas. Take shelter of the Paramadharma. That is what Shukadeva Goswami says in answer to the first question that the Shaunaka Rishis inquire from Suta Goswami. And again, in the same chapter, it says, Dharmas swanushtitah pumsam. And many people might think, oh, I have certain occupational duties. The whole point of dharma, the essence of dharma is, all in all, is this. Whatever a mankind does, whether it's external, internal, or in the mind. We execute dharma in so many other ways. I have a body, so I have to execute certain dharma to establish this body. A grihastha goes out and earns money to maintain his family and the society. That is his dharma. A sannyasi goes and begs alms, takes bhiksha, and gives his earnings to the grihasthas. What is the earning of a sannyasi? Correct, jnana, bhakti and vairagya. He gives all of this to the grihasthas. To say, chant the holy names of the Lord. He preaches to the grihasthas. That is his earnings. So he gives his earnings and then takes the alms earned by grihastha as food. Right? That is what is called as bhiksha. So similarly, every varna and every ashrama has a specific duty to perform. So, but this duty, what is the purpose of that duty? That is what we have to understand. Okay? A sannyasi is not going and begging to fill his stomach. A grihastha is not working to earn a living so that he can maintain the family. That is not the purpose of his living. What is the purpose? Dharma swanushtita pumsam vishvaksena kathasuyah. The whole point of any occupational duty should be na utpadayed yatiratim. We should develop rati towards vishvaksena kathasu. If that occupational duty does not develop my consciousness towards attachment to Krishna Katha, then it is Shrama Evahi Kevalam. Then it is useless waste of labor, no matter which ashrama, which varna we are situated in. That is the whole point of the varnashrama system, is you execute your duty to fulfill your supreme dharma, which is Yato Bhaktir Adhokshaje. That is the purpose of any dharma, any varnashrama dharma. The purpose is to come to the point of bhakti. That is why dharma is a stepping stone to bhakti. It itself is not the goal. Therefore, we reject that. We don't reject the purushartha. That is not the ultimate purushartha. One executes the principles of dharma to come to the point of bhakti. One becomes a devotee of the Lord. That is why it's very important. One may think, Prabhuji, then what about the competition in today's world? What about so much bickering that goes on in this modern existence? That also in the same chapter, Shukadeva Goswami explains, Dharmasya hi apavargasya narthorthayopakalpate narthasya dharmaikantasya kamo labhaya hi smritaha. Dharma should always, dharmasya hi apavargasya. Apavargasya means towards liberation. All our dharma should lead us towards liberation, na arthaya. It should not lead towards material gains. I should not do dharma for material gains. For example, in the internet you will see a lot of Bhagavatam speakers. They will speak on Bhagavatam. They will cry while giving Bhagavatam sessions. They will cry. But you will see, they will say, I am not a saint. They will live a very posh life. And they will say, I am not a saint. They are just making money out of Bhagavat Katha. So, if they are using dharma to earn a living, then there is no point. There is no point. Dharmasya hi apa nartho arthayopakalpate. One should not use dharma to earn means of living. But it has to be always dharmasya hi apavargasya. One should lead or use or apply dharmic principles to get liberated from this material existence. That is why if one becomes a devotee of the Lord, then all the auspicious qualities reside in him. That I was talking about the material competition. If one becomes a devotee of the Lord, because one may think, I was talking to a devotee yesterday. Many times Mayavadis also think bhakti is an inferior path. They think bhakti is an inferior path. But they do not understand bhakti is the only path. It is not an inferior path. It is the only path. Krishna says, bhaktya mam abhijanati. There is only through bhakti you can know me. You can only know Krishna through bhakti, and no other path can lead to bhakti. Bhakti is the ultimate end. It is the process. It is the process and abhideya and prayojana also towards bhakti, towards the Supreme Lord. The prayojana, of course, is Krishna, but the process itself is so sweet that even after obtaining Krishna, they will continue to do bhakti. What will you do once going to Goloka? You will continue to do bhakti, is it not? So bhakti is the means and the end as well. Of course, the purpose of bhakti is Krishna. The vastu is Krishna. The object of that bhakti is Krishna, but the activity is bhakti all the time. So one may argue that, Prabhu, will Krishna consciousness help me in my material life? It will, because yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana. What is the next line? Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair. Anyone knows the verse? Gunais tatra samasate suraha harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena sati dhavato bahihi yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana. If a devotee who is devoted and is an akinchana bhakta, who is a pure devotee of the Lord, sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha. All the auspicious, sarvair gunais tatra, all the auspicious qualities are invested in him automatically. Automatically are invested. One doesn't have to do anything else. Therefore, Mayavadis think bhakti is inferior. It is not an inferior path. It is the only path by which one can become perfect. Not by our endeavor, but by Krishna's mercy, but by Acharya's mercy. Sarvairs gunais tatra samasate suraha. But if one is not a bhakta, harav abhaktasya. Harav abhaktasya kuto mahad gunaha. He might have so many high qualities, but all that is just manorathena dhavati bahihi. It is just his mental speculation only and nothing else. Because one cannot come to the point of transcendence by one's endeavor. Because jivas are all baddhas, they are conditioned. You cannot cross over this conditioning by our own endeavor. There has to be someone to release us from that conditioning who is not conditioned. So therefore, that is a guru, that is the scripture, that is Krishna himself, that is his bhakti, the process of bhakti. So therefore, only Krishna, that is why Krishna, it is said, dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Only the principles enacted by Krishna is dharma alone. And therefore, Prabhupada says, this dharma, which is parodharma, in the last paragraph of purport, Prabhupada writes, the ultimate dharma of a jiva, jivera swarupa hoy krishnera nitya dasa. When one becomes a devotee of Krishna, then he has actually executed his ultimate dharma, while executing his external dharma in this material world, because we are all embodied. So that is the whole point Prabhupada is trying to make. And Prabhupada culminates the purport by saying, this is the sum and substance of the Krishna consciousness movement. That to Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukhas Sangha Param Rajet. One is to propagate this movement of Krishna consciousness around the world for the benefit of all humankind. For that, one has to become a devotee first, and then try to spread this movement of joy. We are very soon having the book marathon coming up, where we can preach to the devotees and distribute this transcendental literature and Krishna consciousness. So I'll stop here. So it's a wonderful purport Prabhupada culminates with. So it's verse number 4 from chapter 14th. 8.14.4 has we completed 8.14.4. If somebody has any questions, comments or corrections. If not, we'll stop here. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari